Hey there, everyone. It is John C. Morley, serial entrepreneur here, coming at you tonight. It's June 11th. And yes, we are on another start of a new master topic. For those of you that are new, you're going to see a QR code in the top right. Just take your phone and use it to scan the QR code that I'll direct you to my link tree with lots of great information to improve the quality of your life and everyone else in it that you care so much about. All right, so thank you for popping by every single week. We have a brand new master topic. We're kicking that off today, Saturday evening, with episode number 1. We'll tell you about the topic in just a second. If you're coming back, well, welcome back, my friends, colleagues, and associates. It's so wonderful to have you here and supporting me. And being here all this time is great. And hopefully some of the new people will get to be just like you guys that support me all the time. So thanks for being here. Really do appreciate that. And if you're wondering what that master topic is, you know what that master topic is? I'm going to tell you. It is What is the Tip of the Iceberg series, and we're at episode 1. So before we can get started, let's go over to Merriam-Webster, and we're going to look up the word iceberg, okay? And so when we think about the word iceberg, the first thing that comes to mind is it's a noun. So a large floating mass of ice detached from a glacier, or it's an emotionally cold person. So now you have it right from Merriam-Webster quoted there. Now, I want to take a moment and actually refer to the iceberg in something that Neville Ravikant says in one of his tweets. The closer you are to the truth, the more silent you become inside. So let's take your mind for a moment. And let's pretend that you're at a social gathering. And let's say there's some other people there. But you notice that there's one or two people that are just really obnoxiously monopolizing conversations and just wanting to get the most attention. This actually indicates that they may be trying to overcompensate for something that's wrong inside. So when we think about what Neville has said, the closer you are to the truth, what this really means is that when you take time to reflect and listen to what your inner soul and body has to say, it'll have less to say when you're on your proper path. Pretty cool, right? So if someone is just talking way too much, right? We said that you're going to know that their insides are not at peace. And because of that, they're trying to compensate for it. Now, let's talk a little more about what we mean by the iceberg. So the iceberg, as you guys know, because I'm sure you've seen some movies, the iceberg, part of a glacier, there's a top and there's a bottom. Well, the top is usually very small, and it's something you can barely see, and the bottom is really large, but it's under the surface. It's below the surface. So let's think about the iceberg as the tip of the iceberg being your conscious mind, things you know and you're aware of. Let's think about everything below the iceberg as your subconscious mind, things that you're not directly aware of. However, we all know that 95% of our body is run by the subconscious. We all know that. I recently was having a conversation with someone, and they told me they were not happy with their job. So I asked the question, I thought you loved your job. What is it that you would want to change about it? And he said to me, John, it's not the same. I said, what do you mean? What was good when I started, but now it's just like a mess. And I said, "What do you mean it's a mess?" Well, he says, for starters, I haven't gotten any promotion. I haven't gotten any feedback of how well I'm doing or what I need to improve. I do my job every day and I do the best that I can. And whenever I ask management, they always say, "Well, we told you what to do," when they really didn't. Now, this is typical for a lot of management people because they think they manage and they get paid to manage, but actually they don't know how to manage. So they're bad managers. And the first thing a manager has to do is they have to be able to tell you what they expect from you. And if you are not on that path, to give you useful guidance to get back on that path. And if you're on the path to say, "Yes, that's exactly what I'm looking for," that's great. Keep that up. The person was telling me about the fact that they were not, let's say, revered or praised or, told what they should do to improve. So they weren't given feedback. But let's look at feedback for a moment. Feedback is kind of speculative, isn't it? Feedback is something that tells us what we believe we should be. So if we take a moment and we already know the job and we evaluate, what is it I could be doing better? Take some quiet time to think about that. And if you think of things, write them down and make sure that you become better in those areas. Because I think what happens with a lot of people in jobs is they wait for this feedback. They don't get it. And now suddenly they believe they can't do a good job. They already know what the job is. We know management is poor. However, they're not doing what they should be doing to help that person. But the employee is also harming himself because he can still do his job well, even though management is not doing what they're supposed to do. Let's think of that tip of the iceberg again. So we've got management, okay, up here, not giving any feedback and that going all around your head and be like, "I can't do my job. I can't do my job. I don't know what I'm supposed to do. I don't know. How do I do my job?" You've been doing your job, but you say you don't know how you do your job. And management tells you already know how to do your job. You've been told. That's what's on the tip of the iceberg. What's below the iceberg is the fact that you do know how to do your job. And maybe it's asking yourself questions like, how could you be more efficient? Or how could the process go smoother? So you already know the questions you can ask to get yourself to be your own feedback. So feedback is speculative to others. And when you choose to wait for feedback, it can hinder yourself to success. You know, a lot of times people don't advance in their jobs because they blame management. And if that's truly the case, then they should be able to improve what they're doing. And then people say, "Well, John, I can't excel. I can't become any better manager. Can't grow to manager." Why not? It's clicky. Well, that's a problem. Now, you might say to me, "John, I feel like I don't do anything that's worthwhile for my company because they just don't praise me." So don't work for praise because if you do, it might be a cold day before you get feedback. And I think that's really the important. Thank you very much for the care mark. You know, people, regardless of whether you are starting as a janitor or you're an engineer or you're a tech or you're a marketing person or you're a landscaper, people need feedback. And if they don't get the appropriate feedback, they start to internalize, oh my gosh, I didn't get feedback. I must be bad. And now you internalize that whole fact that "Oh, I'm probably bad. That's why I'm not getting feedback." Hello there, Daniel. It's nice to see you. Thank you very much. Yes, we have a very great topic this week. We're talking all about the iceberg and the tip of the iceberg and many parts of it. And I have found that, particularly with this one friend and other friends, so they harp on the fact that they're not getting feedback. I get it. So instead of doing that, why don't we just let go of that? All right. And let's figure out how we can do our job better. Because if we can focus on doing our job better, then guess what's going to happen? Management's not going to be able to avoid you because you're going to get accolades from other areas. Those other areas are going to come back. You get those in writing. Hey, you're doing your job right. You're doing your job better than you were doing it before. But too many people think that because they're not getting feedback, they're doing a bad job. No, they're just working for a bunch of managers that don't really know how to properly manage people and motivate them. Thus, don't worry so much in work about winning every little battle. Not important. It's more important to win the war. How do you win the war? You win the war by being the best version of yourself that you can be and the best, let's say, person in that job specification. So now that you understand that, and you understand that a lot of people internalize this stuff, and that causes them to shut down their body. They're like, oh, I must be terrible. I never get feedback. And so because you don't get feedback, you say, well, gee, I guess I'll just, do what I'm doing. But you know how to do things better. Don't use the excuse that management isn't giving you feedback as the reason to why you're not becoming better. You don't need management's help. You can figure out how to do your job better. You're smart, right? When we think about this, there's something really important that comes to mind. And I mentioned it before. And that is the fact that there was a wise gentleman who I mentioned before, and his name is Naval Ravikant. And Naval Ravikant has said, the closer you are to the truth, the more silent you become inside. So if you're asking yourself questions and you're not getting answers, chances are you're probably on the right path to improving. There's nothing you need to change. But if you ask yourself, well, gee, how do I become better at packing? How do I be better at shipping? How do I become better at marketing? How do I become a better tech? And you'll start to get some answers. And those answers are not at the tip of the iceberg. They're at the bottom of the iceberg. Now, this can take a little bit of effort. And the other reason people don't do it is because they're scared that they might get an answer that they're not ready for. So I'm going to ask you a question right now. If you're doing your job and you're not getting feedback from someone, but you're able to get feedback from yourself, would you rather block that communication from helping you become better, even though it's coming from yourself? Or listen to it so you can excel and be better in your job? So the iceberg is something we're going to be talking about all week. So the iceberg has a tip and it has a big root underneath. And the root underneath is all these feelings of inadequacy, of the fact that you believe that you're not good at it, all because you've been putting this in your head. So you need to get those thoughts out of your head because chances are you're probably better than management. And if you're waiting for manager to say, hey, John, hey, Mike, hey, Bob, hey, Dan, hey, Bob, you did a great job, don't do it. Because when you decide to become better, regardless of how you do that, by talking to yourself, you're going to find that you're going to escalate up. Now, you might escalate up to another position because you're so good at it, or you might leave that company and go somewhere else because now you've learned how to act in that capacity in the best possible way. A lot of times, managers, believe it or not, do not give you a kudos. You know why? Because they don't want to see you grow. They don't want to see you get to be the best you can be because they know that if you become the best, they're afraid you might replace them or they're afraid you might quit. Now, that's an example of a very poor managed company. But let's face it, there are companies out there that act like this. So, knowing that everything that you see on the top, no feedback, or, you're getting a brush from management, or they're brushing you off, or just saying, this, accept that. Don't become emotionally charged or attached to it. Realize you know your job and you can teach yourself to become better. If management's not helping you, use your intuition, use your inner voice. And the more you do this, the more you're going to be able to trust your inner voice. And that inner voice is going to lead you to becoming the best in that field that you can be. Now, if you're working with a group of people and you're managing them, let's say you're actually managing them, what could be better than those people all saying, wow, John's a great manager, or I love working for him. He gives great feedback. Now, that's going to trickle down, and management's going to hear about that, and they're going to realize, well, gee, what makes John such a great manager? Well, maybe I should try that. You see, people in management and C-level executives, they have this WDA, won't do attitude. Just won't do it. Why? Because I'm C-level and I shouldn't have to do that. You see, that's the problem. Know that when you are working in life, there is always an iceberg with a tip that you see and a tip at the top, and then the bottom roots you don't see. And remember that the bottom roots you don't see are probably deep in your subconscious. And they're the reason to why you are not becoming the best version that you can be of yourself in that job. Pretty cool, right? So let's get back to my friend here that I was just talking about, Naval. And Naval has said many times that people try to look wise. Okay? And I'm going to quote him, to be quiet, not because they're trying to look wise, but because they're internally quiet. When somebody is internally quiet, they are in harmony with their mind in what they should be doing. If somebody's yapping and needs to always get their 2 cents in, there's something off balance with them. And they're trying to overcompensate, or they're trying to prove to you that they know more than you. Pretty cool, right? The closer you are to the truth, the more silent you become inside. And you know why that is? That's because there's nothing for you to process. You don't have to think about anything. There's nothing for you to change. I'm going to give you a perfect example. If we think about an iceberg for a moment, and we think about the tip, let's think about a relationship. And let's say you believe that you want that person back, and they've told you that they don't want to be around you, and you just cannot let go because this is all you see, that you have to have this person. But really, what you're doing is you are sabotaging yourself because you're not understanding the fact that below the subconscious, you have not let go. You have not realized that you are worthy of being loved. You're worthy of being in a great relationship. When you start to adapt those types of thoughts, see, the reason most men, I'll say, uh, basically will hang on to someone when they've let them go is because they can't handle the rejection. But knowing that the person has let you go, if they did let you go, just say to yourself, that's fine. I'm going to find someone that really cares and will treat me well. See, and your mind has to believe this, right? Your mind has to believe this, right? I'll give you a statement here. People that break up with men, okay? People that break up with men, just think about this for a second. People that break up with men are showing their insecurity of being around them. Or people that break up with men are insecure. Why? Maybe that person is trying to do something. Maybe it was a great relationship, but if you believe that you have to be with this person, change it up a little bit. Dates that let me go, dates that break up with me. People that break up. Think about this. Just think how this means. Now, the biggest mistake you can make is to hold on to someone who has who's already let you go. So I'm going to give you this one more time. People break up with men because they're insecure. Men hold on to their partners because they feel inferior. Now, how about if we change that around? Men who get dumped will become more valued in the next relationship. Men who get dumped will be more valued in the next relationship. So that's saying that when you get dumped, you're going to know your purpose, you're going to know your worth, and you're going to be better in the next relationship. So that's deep. That's not the tip. That's below the tip. That's the actual below the surface of the iceberg. I hope this was interesting. We've got lots more great stuff to share with you this week when we talk about what is the tip of the iceberg. Lots more to come this week. Glad that you're loving the topic. Thanks so much. Be sure to love, like, support my channel. Comment below. Have you had a situation like this before where people just talk and you think they're being intelligent, but really they're just shedding nervous energy because they're not in balance? Or people that are quiet have always made you wonder. Let me know. Go ahead and tag your friends, colleagues, and associates. Share this out with everyone you know on social media. Then go to my YouTube channel, John Space, E Space, MORLEY Space, Serial Entrepreneur, and look for the key phrase to help keep our content free. And then make the choice, ladies and gentlemen, to buy my team and I a cup of coffee. We'll be so grateful. Those pennies and dollars will invest into new hardware, new technology, new equipment, new software, new facilities to give you the most jaw-dropping, motivational, inspirational content ever and keep you understanding. Hey there, Kenny. How are you? Good to see you. Yeah, so we are talking about a great topic as I'm just getting ready to wrap up here tonight. And that is the iceberg, the tip of the iceberg. Do you understand what the tip of the iceberg is? There's a tip and then there's a blow. And tonight we talked about the fact that when people don't get feedback, they feel that they're unworthy or that they're doing a bad job. And that's not the case at all. We also learned tonight that when people are talking incessantly, especially in a group, they're trying to compensate for something. The fact that they might not be in alignment with their mind. And people that are quiet in a group that are listening are in alignment. So when you ask yourself things and your body's not responding with words, you're probably doing everything you need to. I hope that you guys have a great rest of your evening. I will be back tomorrow, Sunday, for episode 2. We'll be talking more about the iceberg. There's so much that I want to cover with this. But this week is just going to shed a light of where we potentially will go with this. There's just so much more to share. But I think it will open up your mind to understand that a lot of stuff we see in life is appearing to be at the tip, but really, it's actually below the iceberg. And a lot of people don't take the time to figure out what that really is. I'm John C. Morley, serial entrepreneur. It's been a privilege, been a pleasure, and been an honor to be with you. And you all know that watching my programs will give you more confidence to improve the quality of your life. And we all know that's what you want here today. Have yourself a great rest of your night, everyone. Take care.